Part 27. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, Beautiful. Chapter 261. Chapter 261 Military Training Pace Setter. Does everyone see it clearly? Zhao Lai asked after demonstrating it with his steps. See clearly. Wow, the instructor is so awesome. There are 10 rings. They are all young people. How can anyone not be excited to see these? Okay, each row is a group and will conduct target practice one by one. They counted 35 people in a class, which happened to be 7 people in one group. There were 5 groups in total, and Yunsu was in the third group. Let's see later which group has the best results, which student is the best. Everyone held and touched the cold hard gun, which was very novel. The boys who had experience in target shooting thought they were better than other students. How can girls compare to us boys in something like target shooting? A boy immediately whispered proudly. What did you say? A girl heard it and turned around to glare. This is sexism, are you okay? In terms of target shooting, boys do have an advantage over girls, but, Zhao Lila looked at the expressionless Yunsu in the crowd, and he was looking forward to seeing if she would bring any surprises. No, if you don't know how to shoot, can you give me your 10 bullets? The boy asked, licking his face. Keep the gun level, with the bottom of the against the inside of the right shoulder joint. Why are you fighting in such a hurry? Just hit if you aim. Your hands are shaking like that. Zhao La's face was dark. He knew it would be like this. Look what you are shooting. I'll hit you with a slingshot better than you. The results on the electronic target reporting device were disastrous, and many people even missed the target without even getting a result. Keep your feet shoulder width apart. After correcting it, Zhao Lai shouted, okay, get ready, let go. They looked at the remaining groups that had not yet started shooting, and rolled their eyes. Drop your right arm naturally, turn your head to the left appropriately. Look at the scope. What am I doing? He walked around, correcting everyone's gun holding posture one by one. The boy raised his eyebrows proudly. The girls wanted to argue, but didn't know what to do. Zhao Lai naturally saw the quarrel between the two, but he didn't say anything. Target training is originally an expansion training. It's just for everyone to experience it, there's no need to be so strict. The crackling sound sounded, as lively as setting off firecrackers, and the remaining waiting students looked around to see the results. Zhang Dandan felt cold. What's your name, Dandan? What's wrong with not being able to shoot? Humph, don't even think about it, Zhang Dandan snorted, even if I don't know how to shoot, it's still my bullet, why should I give it to you? You. The girl was so anxious that she couldn't speak. 10 bullets for each person. Once you finish shooting, they will be gone. Cherish it yourself. Zhao Lai showed a slight smile on his dark face. It's true. I'm not wrong. You girls are really not suitable for playing with guns. With this rifle, you may not be able to withstand the recoil. The boy curled his lips and said, obviously not taking them seriously. Dandan, can you shoot? A boy approached Zhang Dandan. The beating was over in 2 strokes. The boys smacked their lips. It was just like eating ginseng fruit. It ended without feeling. It was so unsatisfactory. Relax, why are you so tight? It's a waste of time for you girls to hit you, why can't you give it to us? Another boy interjected, with a matter-of-fact expression on his face. If you don't give it, you won't give it. Who are you looking down on? Zhang Dandan raised her eyebrows. Leng Qiu sneered at the side, even if you beat yourself up like that, you still have the nerve to say it? Looking at the not-so-good results, the boy choked on his face and said angrily, then I want to see how good you are? You can't even touch other targets. You don't have to worry about it, Leng Qiu said. Soon, the second group began to prepare, and Leng Qiu was the second group. Wow, Kaiokyu, you are so good, Zhang Dandan exclaimed as he looked at Leng Qiu's score of 92 rings. For this group of freshmen who have hardly received any training, this is the highest score now. Zhao Lai also nodded and praised, not bad. Leng Qiu was a little embarrassed at being praised and said, my father is a soldier. He grew up in a compound when he was a child, so he is good at it. No wonder Li Yanchuang's eyes were a little envious. She grew up in the south of the Yangtze River and had a gentle temperament. She had never been exposed to such firearms. She was very envious when she saw Leng Qiu's handsome shooting. Zhao Lai glanced at them and saw that the boys who had just spoken were already like quails, dodging their eyes and not daring to speak. The third group is ready. Yunsu raised the gun casually, and her lazy look was in contrast to the look she had used as a template in previous trainings. Zhao Lai frowned. It seemed that he was overthinking. Yunsu did have some skills in her body, but she probably has never been exposed to professional training such as target shooting. Before he could step forward to correct her posture, he saw that she had raised her gun, and a series of gunshots rang out. Everyone was stunned. Did you really have an aim when shooting so fast? 2 seconds later, the electronic target indicator showed the score, 100 rings. The whole place was silent, and some people swallowed their saliva. Zhao Lai's eyes widened to the extreme. What was he thinking just now? How could she have never been exposed to target practice? The face was slapped and it hurt so much. After his face hurt, his heart ached. Although the regiment leader had made it clear that Yunsu could not go to the army, Zhao Lai still felt a pang of regret. This kind of shooting skills could not be surpassed by the sharpshooters in the army. Ah! Susu, you are so awesome. Awesome. Zhang Dandan came back to her senses, hugged her and shouted, which of you just said that girls are not as good as boys? Stand up and say it if you have the ability. None of the boys dared to speak, and they held their necks to reduce their sense of presence. They were really impressed by Yunsu. Sure enough, Yunsu was not a human being, and they couldn't compare. Leng Qiu looked at Yunsu with eyes. She had been training since childhood, but she was still far from Yunsu. Li Yanzhuang marveled, Susu is indeed the best in everything she does. Very good, Zhao Lai praised without hesitation. The target shooting training ended soon. The subsequent training was still difficult, but everyone gritted their teeth and persevered. The military training that lasted for more than a month came to the final stage, which was the military parade and the closing ceremony. Yunsu deservedly became the military training pace setter of calculation class 1, and no one had any objections to Zhao Lai's decision. In the stands of the military parade ground, many leaders of Huaqing were present. They watched the local formations passing by neatly, chanting loudly and full of energy. They all nodded with satisfaction, with smiles on their faces, and exercised from body to heart. Man, this is the meaning of military training. Why does the pace setter in the square look so familiar? A leader asked the person next to him softly. Din Ning said with a smile, Qiwan, what's that look in your eyes? That's the student you once thought about so much, and you can't recognize him now. What are you thinking about? Qi Nong, Dean of Huaqing Institute of Physics, was stunned. There was a distance, so he really couldn't see clearly. When the phalanx approached, Qi Nong's pupils narrowed and he looked at Din Ning. Is this Yunsu? Yes, he is a student from our School of Engineering. Yunsu. Din Ning deliberately emphasized the word Jiyuan with a proud look on his face. Qineng rolled his eyes. Why are you so proud? Isn't it just that I chose their Gun? What's so great about it? Qineng tried hard to ignore the sour feeling in his heart. He couldn't help but glance at Yunsu again, his face full of pity. How could such a good student not be from their School of Physics? When the news that Yunsu chose computer science came back to Huaqing, it shocked a lot of people. The School of Mathematics, the School of Physics, and even the School of Biology and Chemistry, and almost all the science schools fought to the death. Her unexpected choice caught the attention of the School of Computer Science, and Dean Ning's proud face made many people angry. Even now, there are still people who are not giving up and are thinking about how to let Yunsu change his major. Thinking of this, Keenan was thoughtful. If he didn't change his major, what about a double major? End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 262. Chapter 262 finally became a teacher and a student. Teacher Chen, are you looking for me? Yunsu entered the office and asked. The woman sitting there is gentle and intellectual. She is Chen Su, the counselor of calculation class 1. Yunsu is here, come and sit. Seeing the baby bump they had tied, Chen Su's face broke into a smile. Yunsu Yin sat down and looked at her with questioning eyes. Chen Su smiled kindly and said, that's right, the school would like to ask you if you are willing to pursue a double major. Double degree. Yes, Chen Su said slowly, the school is very concerned about your academic performance. Professor Wang said that you had said before that you would consider a double major, so let me ask you what you think. I understand, Teacher Chen. I will think about it carefully and get back to you as soon as possible. Yunsu nodded. She had indeed thought about this issue before, but she had never thought about what to choose as her second major. That's good. If you have any problems, just tell the school and they will solve it for you. Chen Su looked at the girl who nodded obediently and smiled even more tenderly. She was a little nervous when she learned that Yunsu was assigned to her class. I am afraid that since she has become famous at a young age and has achieved a lot, she will be arrogant and difficult to communicate with. Now it seems that she is overthinking. The news that Yunsu was going to study a second major was like having wings. It spread throughout the entire college in a short time. Many colleges that had been sighing with regret were immediately as excited as if they had been given another opportunity. This, accept her as a student, Su Huajing said in shock. In the principal's office, Principal Su Huajing was talking about this matter with Dean Ning of the School of Planning and Design. Meng Huai was dressed casually and had a slender figure. He seemed to be in good spirits. He waved his hand and said, pick it up. It's not like I don't know the place. I just walked a short distance to get here. Meng Huai looked at the two of them and said something shocking, I want to accept Yunsu as my student. Dean Ning, who was drinking tea, also stood up. What kind of wind brought Mr. Meng here? Su Huajing shook his head wildly, it's not impossible, it's just too sudden. Mr. Meng, why are you here? You didn't even tell me in advance that I could pick you up. Su Huajing stood up quickly. Dean Ning, that's great. If Mr. Meng accepts her as a student, her second major will be solved. Principal, you don't know. After those guys found out that Yunsu wanted to study for a second major, they came to our School of Economics every day to inquire. My threshold was about to be broken. Why don't I come to you to hide? Ning Yuan Changhao said with a smile. Su Huajing glanced at him sideways and said, okay, don't get the advantage and behave well. I just chose your college. If you continue to be careful of Qinong and the others one day getting sacked. I'm here for Yunsu girl. The person opened the door and walked into the room. Yunsu, Su Huajing and Dean Ning looked at each other, why is it her again? Who are you? Su Huajing was not sure what he meant. Okay, Su Huajing had no choice but to ask, what do you want to do here? I'm also willing to put on a sack, Dean Ning said happily, taking a sip of tea, your tea is better. Please come in. From the first time he met Yunsu with Mr. Meng, Su Huajing knew that Mr. Meng admired her very much, but he never expected that he would appreciate her so much. Meng Huai is very old and has rarely been out in public for more than a year. His sudden visit to Huaqing must be important. What? No. Su Huajing was about to say something else when there was a knock on the door. Shock flashed across Dean Ning's face. Why did Mr. Meng come to join in the fun and accept Yunsu as his disciple? Mr. Meng has not accepted a student for nearly 20 years. Then he will definitely choose physics as his second major, and he won't have to face the group of people who come to him for inquiries every day. That's not necessarily the case. Meng Huai frowned. She rejected me last time. Last time? Reject. Dean Ning was dumbfounded. Did he hear correctly that Yunsu had refused Mr. Meng to accept her as a disciple? He swallowed. Even Mr. Meng could refuse. Should she really say that she was young and frivolous, or that she knew nothing about Mr. Meng? Su Huajing thought for a while. Then let's ask student Yunsu for his opinion. This is a good thing, and he is happy to see it happen. I want to ask her personally, Meng Huai said. If you want to be a teacher, you must be sincere. Okay. Upon seeing this, Dean Ning immediately called Chen Su and asked Yunsu to come to the principal's office. Huaking is a big place, and Yunsu's dormitory is a bit far away from Su Huijing's place. The three of them waited for more than half an hour for Yunsu to arrive. Sorry, principal, I'm late. No, come on in, sit down and have a rest. The three of them showed no signs of being impatient. Yunsu walked in, paused, and then saw three people, all of whom she knew. Hello, Dean. Dean Ning smiled and nodded. Yunsu looked at Meng Huai again and said, Mr. Meng, long time no see. Long time no see, girl Yun. Meng Huai was in a very good mood. The last time we met was when I gave you an award. Yes, how are you lately? Yunsu had a very good impression of Meng Huai. Meng Huai was a true great man of the country and one of the very few people whom Yunsu admired. I'm very fine. The more Meng Huai looked at Yunsu, the more satisfied he became. Although the two met rarely, they had always been in contact. Meng Huai wanted to take her as his disciple. He had been mentioned overtly and covertly above, but it was indeed his own idea. If he didn't want to do it, no one could force him. That's good. Yunsu nodded and looked at Su Huajing. Principal, are you here to see me? Su Huajing pondered for a moment and said, Teacher Chen Su should have told you about choosing a second major. I came to you to ask what you think. Yunsu hesitated and asked, Principal, are you in such a hurry? Do you have to give the answer now? Of course not, it's just that everyone is more concerned about your choice. Everyone. Yunsu looked at Meng Huai, and it was obvious who everyone was referring to. That's right, girl Yun, I won't beat around the bush anymore. Meng Huai straightened his body. I want to accept you as my close disciple. Please listen to me first, don't refuse in a hurry. Say. Yunsu looked serious. Meng Huaidao, I mentioned this matter once before, but you refused. At that time, you said you had not considered this aspect yet. What about now? Now that you have gone to university and come to Huaking, you are always looking for teachers. Now there's no reason to reject me, right? Mr. Meng, It is undeniable that Yunsu was very moved. More than a year has passed since the last time, and Mr. Meng is still thinking about this matter. With his identity and status, what kind of students do he want? No. A large number of people lined up to become his students, but it was rare for him to extend invitations again and again for Yunsu. Girl Yun, you don't want me to take a second look at the thatched cottage, do you? Meng Huai smiled, but his eyes were extremely serious. Yunsu is very hesitant. She really wants to study for a second degree, but she really hasn't decided yet. Su Huajing and Dean Ning were drinking tea, but it was difficult to speak. There was no sound in the office for a while. Everyone was waiting for Yunsu's answer. After a while, she still didn't speak, and Mr. Meng sighed in his heart. After all, he didn't want to embarrass her. Then why don't you think about it again? It's okay. Meeting Meng Huai's sincere eyes, Yunsu softened his heart and finally said, No need to think about it, Mr. Meng, I am honored to be your student. Learning physics may also be a good choice. Really, Meng Huai was overjoyed. That's great. Really, teacher Yunsu changed her tune. Su Huajing and Dean Ning also breathed a sigh of relief. They just agreed and everyone was happy. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 263. Chapter 263 Physics Manuscript. The news that Yunsu chose physics as a second major soon spread like wildfire. Qi Nong, dean of the School of Physics, almost broke out in laughter. Other colleges sighed and it was too late. Among them, the people from the School of Mathematics were the most depressed. For a mathematician from Yunsu, it was fine that they were not selected for the first time, and they were not selected for the second time. This made them feel so good. But because Meng Huai personally went to find the person, they calculated no one would dare to ask Meng Huai for help no matter how unwilling he was. The matter of Meng Huai accepting Yunsu as his disciple was settled. Neither of them were people who cared about ostentation, so they just had a meal together and performed the apprenticeship ceremony. Yunsu specially selected a piece of work by everyone that Meng Huai liked, and he was so happy that he couldn't bear to see it. Meng Huai was not unprepared. He thought about it and gave Yunsu something. Mr. Meng, is this your physics manuscript? Su Huajing, who came to observe the master ceremony and was equivalent to a witness, took a breath. Mr. Meng actually gave this to Yunsu? Not bad. Meng Huai stroked his beard and said with a bright smile, Girl Yun, these are some of my insights in physics over the years. Take them and take a look. You can understand as much as you can and what you don't understand. Just ask me. Yunsu pursed her lips and suddenly felt that the notebook in her hand seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. She was silent for a while and solemnly said, I will, teacher, thank you. Su Huajing sighed with eyes full. This book was just some insights. It was clearly his hard work over the years. Mr. Meng gave it to Yunsu without blinking an eye, which shows how much Yunsu holds in his heart. After a simple meal, the two became official masters and apprentices. Yunsu also officially chose her second major. The school made an exception. Her two majors were a bachelor's, master's and doctoral program, and no one commented on this matter. After all, with Yunsu's performance, it is appropriate for her to break many exceptions. Yunsu returned to the dormitory. Li Yanzhuang saw what she had in her hand and asked casually, Susu, what did you get? Yunsu looked at the girl passing by wearing suspenders and hot pants, and then at her long-sleeved dress. What's missing? Just when a girl was about to move forward, a girl in a black skirt came gracefully, carrying the early autumn wind, with a vague fragrance lingering. The man's cold brows and eyes instantly softened, as if a cold jade stone had been dyed with mortal air and became warm. He looked at the girl's exposed calf and frowned again. Yunsu changed her clothes. She wore a well-tailored little black dress, which was not boring. The white camellia on her chest was even more fresh and refined. The girl's playfulness and quiet beauty were fully revealed. Zhang Dandan received a positive reply and lay down again, staring blankly at the tent above his head, muttering, It's so perverted. Susu, do you want to go to the cafeteria to eat? The second cafeteria seems to have your favorite fish today, Li Yanzhuang asked. Baby. Li Yanzhuang was confused, but she didn't continue to ask out of curiosity. Yunsu shook his head and said, No, you can go ahead. I have an appointment with a friend today. Why do you wear so little? Good. Wow. This skirt is so beautiful. Zhang Dandan got out of bed and looked at Yunsu's skirt with a look of amazement. Zhang Dandan's eyes widened. Is it so expensive? Her family has a little money, but she won't buy such clothes that easily cost 5 figures. I'm leaving first. Yunsu carried a delicate small bag and went out. Yunsu smiled mysteriously, baby. It had only been a few days since school started, but they already found it difficult to study. Susu, a pervert, had to take 2 subjects at the same time, and both majors would make people bald. Thinking of the terrifying scene of Susu becoming bald in the future, she quickly shook it off. Brain, it's terrible. Zhang Dandan poked his head out from the upper bunk. Susu, do you really want to study for a double major? Or should you choose physics? This matter has been making a lot of noise recently, and everyone is talking about it. D's new autumn model this year costs 5 figures, how can it not look good? Leng Qiu shed tears of envy. Yes, Yunsu nodded. Yunsu usually wears casual and simple clothes, but after dressing up a little, they are a little confused. After all, under the brilliance of her talent and strength, her appearance is her least worthy of mention. At the gate of the school, the black Bentley is waiting quietly. The tall and handsome man is holding flowers and standing tall. His eyebrows are as if they were carefully painted with thick ink and heavy colors. His obsidian eyes cannot show any emotion. His whole body is imposing but also unique. The scenery attracts the attention of passers-by. The 3 of them looked at each other and winked. It was a rare occasion for Susu to dress up like this. It seemed that the friend she had made an appointment with was not an easy one. Qin Jiao handed the flowers to her, took off his black suit jacket and put it on her without saying a word. The man's breath enveloped her instantly, and she rolled her eyes. Why did you buy flowers again? Qin Jiao's eyes were filled with a smile. I didn't buy this. You'll know later. Qin Jiao touched her head and said. The side who was about to move looked at the couple and bit her lip unwillingly. She was not as good looking as this girl. She hesitated for a moment, but was ready to step forward. Hey, what are you doing? The friend next to her grabbed her. I think. What are you thinking about? The friend looked at her strangely. You were blinded by the man and lost your mind, right? You haven't figured out who that girl is yet. What? The girl regained some sense and looked at the appearance of the girl in the black skirt. She trembled in shock and the charming thoughts she had just had dissipated without a trace. Help! How could it be the god of clouds? Outrageous, how dare she want to Yun Shen's people? The girl grabbed her friend and ran away quickly. Yunsu got into the car and said to Qinju who was driving, let's go to Yuxiangjai first. Unable to resist Qin Jiao's mother's repeated invitations, Yunsu finally agreed to go to Qin's house for dinner today. She had ordered gifts for Qin's father and Qin's mother before the military training, and now she just had to pick them up. Okay, Miss Yun. Qinju started the car and drove towards Yuxiangjai. At the Qin family's mansion, Qin's mother was very busy. Xiao Wang, is the fish ready? When it's ready, keep it warm in the pot, otherwise it will cool down later. And the black bone chicken soup, turn down the heat and simmer, please help me keep an eye on it. As for the fruits, Xiao Zhang cut some fruits and prepared all kinds of fruits. I don't know what kinds Susu likes to eat. Mr. Qin, who was sitting in the living room, shook the newspaper and said, can you be quiet? Why don't you just have a guest? Why are you so excited? What do you mean, just a guest? Is this an ordinary guest? She is your future daughter-in-law. Qin's mother glared at him, but she only knew how to read the newspaper and didn't know how to help. Qin Zhong didn't say anything. If he said anything again, he would be nagging him again. It's already this late, why haven't you come yet? Mother Qin muttered. Suddenly there was the sound of a car driving in outside, and Qin's mother hurriedly stepped forward and opened the door to greet her. Mom, what are you doing standing here? Why is it you? Qin's mother said disappointedly, why are you back today? No mom, why can't I come back to my house? Qin Fang, the second eldest son of the Qin family, turned his car keys on his fingers and walked into the house, looking completely out of shape. He walked in, casually sat on the sofa, and said hello to his dad. Dad. Qin Zhong ignored him, and he didn't care either. He picked up an apple and gnawed it without any surprise. Looking at the busy servants at home, he asked, "Hey, are there guests today? Then I will come back at the right time." Qin Fang threw the apple away, walked to the dining table and sat down, picked up the chopsticks and was about to use them. "Pa," Mother Qin knocked his chopsticks away with a slap. "Mom, what are you doing?" "I'm hungry." Qin Fang stared at her inexplicably. Qin's mother glared at him, "Don't bear with me even if you're hungry. You've already eaten before the guests come. Are there any rules? What kind of guest is so important?" "Miji wants to bring a friend back." Qin's mother knew that the relationship between the two had not been formally established yet, and it was not easy to directly reveal Yunsu's identity. Hearing that it was Qin Jiao who wanted to bring someone back, Qin Fang retracted his hand angrily, not daring to make any more moves. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 264. Chapter 264, Door-to-Door Gifts. Qin Fang asked, "Mom, what kind of friends did Mu Ji bring back, who can make his mother take him so seriously? Why do you care so much?" "We'll see you soon," Mother Qin replied impatiently, then turned to her aunt at home and said, "Xiaozhang, go and see what else is there in the room upstairs. Did you miss anything? Prepare some skincare products, just in case Susu wants to rest here tonight." "Yes, ma'am." "Skincare products?" Qin Fang, who was playing with his cell phone boredly, paused. "Is this a girl?" He thought for a while and sent a message to his third brother Qin Kuang. "Mom, Dad, I'm back." A steady and powerful male voice came. Qin's mother came out of the kitchen and said in surprise, "Ali, why are you so early today? Where is Aya?" "The meeting ended early. Aya is still busy. She doesn't have time to come back for dinner, so don't worry about it." It was Qin Li, the boss of the Qin family, who came back. His eyes swept over Qin Fang, who was sitting lazily on the sofa, without leaving any trace. Frowning. "You also know about coming back?" Facing Qin Li's unkind eyes, Qin Fang sat up straight unconsciously and said harshly, "Of course I know to come back." Qin Li has been in a high position all year round, with a serious face and amazing momentum. His eyes are a sight of overwhelming pressure. "Okay, today is a good day, don't mention those things." Qin's mother frowned and shouted. Mother Qin's face was full of smiles. "It's okay, it's not too late, it's just time to eat, come in quickly. It feels good to have someone clean up the mess, right? Let me tell you, if you have another problem, no matter what your parents say, Mu Ji will never be able to solve it for you again," Qin Li warned him. "Hello, Aunt, I'm sorry for being late," Yunsu apologized. Qin Fang curled his lips, but he didn't talk back to the old man after all. "I'll go up and wash up first." Qin Li loosened his tie and walked upstairs. Mother Qin waved the spatula and said angrily, "You'd better be." Qin Kuang said with a smile on his face, "Look at what you said, Mom, why don't I come back to see you?" "He has an elegant appearance, a gentle temperament, and looks like a university professor, which makes people feel good." Qin Zhong, who was still reading the newspaper, snorted coldly. Did he think he didn't know what the two of them were thinking? "Don't you just want to see the people Qin Jiao brought back?" Xiaojiju. Qin Zhong knew what they were thinking. Mother Qin got into the kitchen again. About half an hour later, the door rang again. She ran out quickly and said disappointedly again, "Why are you back today?" Qin Fang's face also turned cold. Didn't he just drop a project? As for everyone in the family, should he be condemned? Qin Jiao took care of him. Isn't that what he should do as the heir of the Qin family? If he were the heir, he would do better than Qin Jiao, but unfortunately, No one gave him this chance. No matter what he thought in his heart, he still agreed on his face, "I understand, brother." When the hour hand was about to point to 7 o'clock, Qin Jiao and Yun Su finally arrived. They had just stayed at Yuxiangjai for a while, and the Qin family's mansion was relatively far away, so they arrived a little late. "Good days," Qin Li asked doubtfully. Father and mother of Qin used to be busy at work, so the eldest Qin Li took care of them. The eldest brother was like his father, so Qin Fang was quite afraid of him. Of the 5 children of the Qin family, only the eldest family lives with Qin's father and Qin's mother in the mansion. The two of them walked into the house. Qin Jiao glanced at the 2 people on the sofa with his peripheral vision. He looked away without any fluctuation and met his father's gaze. "Dad, this is Yun Su." Qin Fang continued, "Muji wants to take friends home for dinner. Mom is so active." It was Qin Kuang, the 3rd child. He hurried over after receiving the news from Qin Fang. "There are a lot of old people who know something about me," Qin Zhong finally spoke. Qin Li was stunned. Did he bring his friends back? He seemed to understand something when he saw his expression. Yun Su smiled sweetly, "Hello, uncle, sorry to bother you, I am Yun Su, you can just call me Susu." Qin Zhong slowly put down the newspaper, looked at this girl who had only heard her name but not seen her face for a long time, and tried to smile, "I know you." Although he has retired, he knows many things about Qin Zhong's position, such as the development of new drones, aerospace materials, and even the creator of holographic games. He knows the inside story. It can be said that apart from Qin Xiao, he is the person who knows Yun Su best. The little girl in front of me cannot be described by the word excellent. Although her family background is not obvious, she is admired by others, and it is hard to say who is higher than her. "You're good, keep up the hard work." Qin Zhong held it in for a long time before saying these words of encouragement. Mother of Qin almost rolled her eyes. The old man spoke as if he was talking to his soldiers. He couldn't be gentler. What if he scared girl Yun? Yun Su was not frightened. She knew what Qin Zhong said was sincere, so she immediately nodded and said, "I will, uncle." Qin Fang and Qin Kuang, who had been silent, had been observing her. Qin Jiao actually brought a girl back to the Qin family. How old is she? What is the relationship with Qin Jiao? "Muji, why don't you introduce your 3rd brother to me?" Qin Fang said with squinting peach blossom eyes. Qin Jiao glanced at him lightly and said, "Qin Fang, Qin Kuang." He said the name and that was the end of the introduction. A trace of anger flashed across Qin Fang's face. This was because he didn't take them seriously. Qin Kuang also had a dark glint in his eyes. This girl should be quite important to Qin Xiao, right? "By the way, parents, this is the gift Susu brought you." Qin Jiao handed over the bag in his hand. "Come here, bring any gifts, I won't let you bring them next time," Qin's mother said angrily, but she accepted the gift with a smile on her face. "Yun Su, I thought you and your uncle were the only ones at home, so I only prepared your gifts." "I'm sorry." Mother Qin waved her hand, "What gifts do they want? Normally, your uncle and I are the only ones at home. These 2 came back from nowhere today." "It doesn't matter." Qin Fang, who had an angry look on his face, was about to speak when Qin Zhong gave him a warning look. Qin Fang became silent for a moment and held his breath and did not speak again. Qin Zhong looked away and glanced at a corner of the bag in Qin's mother's hand. He paused and widened his eyes. "What is this?" He grabbed the bag. "Hey, what are you doing?" Mother Qin was startled. Qin Zhong took out the contents of the bag. He put a red brocade box aside without even looking at it, and took out another object. This. Qin Zhong breathed heavily and couldn't speak clearly. "This is boundless ink. Where did you get it from?" Qin Jiao said, it was Susu who knew that you love practicing calligraphy, so she specially found it for you. Good. Good. Good, Qin Zhong said 3 good words in a row, obviously loving this gift very much. This is boundless ink. The oldest and most precious ink in existence in the world is worth an unknown amount, and it is the kind that even if you have money, you can't buy it. The current stock is less than 5 yuan, and I don't know where this girl got such a big piece. Lao Li next door was so slapped that his face was almost broken from laughter. He showed off in front of him every day. He is not as big as Lao Li. Qin Zhong was smiling and playing with it endlessly. Seeing his appearance, Qin's mother was also curious about what her gift was. She opened the brocade box, her beautiful eyes widened, and took out a bracelet that was full of water. It was all green and without any impurities. It made people meditate just looking at it. Isn't this the bracelet that sold for 8 figures at auction some time ago? What's the name of the emerald heart? But it caused a frenzy in the circles of young ladies and ladies in the capital. Did it turn out that this girl Susu was able to capture it? With a look of emotion on her face, Qin's mother took Yunsu's hand and said, "It's so expensive." Together with the piece of ink, her bracelet was worth astonishingly high. "It's okay, auntie, as long as you like," Yunsu said softly. At this moment, Qin Li came downstairs. Seeing his completely different temperament from the others, Yunsu understood his identity. This should be Qin Cheng's father, Qin Jiao's eldest brother Qin Li. Before Qin's mother could introduce him, Yunsu smiled and said, "Hello, hello, big brother, I'm Yunsu." Qin Fang gritted her teeth. She said hello to her eldest brother when he came, but she didn't even show an expression to either of them. What did she mean? Qin Li was stunned. Yunsu. He was very familiar with this name, not only because of her name, but also because of her relationship with his Qin Cheng family. Looking at Qin Jiao's gentle eyes and subconscious actions to protect Yunsu, Qin Li instantly understood the relationship between the two. Although he was shocked, he was also happy for them. His serious face also softened. "Susu, right? That kid Qin Cheng always talks about you. I didn't expect that you and Muji have such a good relationship. Come, sit down quickly and let's eat." "Yes, yes, yes, I forgot about it, hurry up and eat," Qin's mother reacted and hurriedly greeted everyone. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 265. Chapter 265. She is not simple. "Susu, come on, eat more." Qin's mother kept picking up vegetables for her. "Thank you," Aunt Yunsu couldn't resist the hospitality, so she had to keep eating. Seeing this, Qin Jiao silently took some away from her bowl. When Qin Fang saw this, his eyes widened in shock. No one in the family knew better than him how serious Qin Jiao's misophobia was. He actually picked vegetables from the girl's bowl, which showed how close the relationship between the two was. "What does Miss Yun do?" Qin Fang asked. The whole family paused. Before Yunsu could answer, Qin Zhong snorted and said sarcastically, "You can't even admit that you've been doing nothing for a day, so you can ask such a question." Qin Fang was confused. "I just asked, why does it involve me again? As the second brother I admire, can't I even ask?" Qin Kuang tugged at the hem of his clothes under the table. "Stop talking. Don't you recognize this face? What a fool." He was stunned when he saw Yunsu for the first time. Who doesn't recognize this talented girl? I just didn't expect that she would be related to Qin Xiao. Yunsu also wanted to say goodbye, but was forced to stay by Qin's mother. Qin Kuang lowered his head, his eyes darkened, and he casually came to her house as a guest and gave out tens of millions of dollars in gifts. She was definitely not simple, and he would not mess with her until he understood her. Qin Fang looked at everyone's faces and silently suppressed what he wanted to say. He raised his cup and said to Yunsu, Susu, I would like to give you a toast. I asked you to take care of Qin Cheng in Lanchange. I would like to say thank you. Qin's father and Qin's mother looked at each other calmly. Their Xiao was really interested in this girl. They had never eaten shrimps peeled by Xiao in so many years. A trace of cruelty flashed in Qin Kuang's eyes, this idiot. Qin Fang sneered, lit the cigarette, and blew out a wisp of smoke. She is just a college student, what can be so extraordinary about her? Qin Kuang, it is a good thing to be careful, but being too careful is called a coward. Although Qin Cheng's character is not naughty, he has always been loose and freewheeling. He knew that it was only after he met Yunsu and was influenced by her that Qin Cheng determined the path he wanted to take in the future. He was very happy and grateful to Yunsu. Eat this. Qin Jiao put the peeled snow-white shrimp meat into the Yunsu bowl. The two of them went out and were about to drive. After dinner, Qin Fang and Qin Kuang did not plan to stay here and planned to go back. We are friends, and Qin Cheng has helped me a lot. Yunsu thought Qin Li was talking about the time when Qin Cheng was attacked and saved by her. Qin Li felt even more fond of her when he saw her smiling face. Qin Kuang suddenly said, be careful with this Yunsu. She is not simple. Qin Kuang lit a cigarette and handed it to Qin to put another one. After saying that, he walked forward. Look at this, it's a photo of Muji when she was 3 years old. Does she look like a little girl? Qin's mother took out the photo album at home and pointed to Yunsu's photos of Qin Jiao when she was a child. Qin Li looked at Qin Jiao's tender and affectionate look, with a smile flashing in his eyes. His younger brother is also like this. If he hadn't seen him with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Qin Fang frowned, what do you mean? It's indeed quite similar, Yunsu said, holding back a smile. After that, several people continued to eat quietly, and no one spoke anymore. In the photo, 3-year-old Qin Jiao is wearing overalls, with a fair and tender face and a beauty mark between her eyebrows. Although her expression is still cold, she looks like a cool and beautiful little girl. I didn't expect that Mr. Qin Wu would still have such a time. Qin Jiao stood aside with a dark face. Mom, why do you still have this photo? Wasn't it already edited by him? Qin Zhong glanced at him and said, your mother developed many of these photos and put them in the safe. It's useless even if you cut them. There are still many of them. Qin Jiao. As for that, I'll go upstairs to have a meeting first. He couldn't sit here and watch them discuss his dark history. Go, Yunsu said without raising his head. Qin Jiao grinned at his molar teeth and then smiled, this little heartless guy. After looking at the photos, Yunsu chatted with Qin's mother for a while, and it was already getting late. Susu, your room is in the 3rd room on the 2nd floor, right next to Muji. It's getting late, so go to bed early. Okay, good night, Uncle and Aunt. Yunsu went upstairs and opened the door to the room. She was a little stunned. The room was decorated exactly as she liked, and everything was complete. It seemed that she had carefully decorated it after asking Qin Xiao. Thinking of the gentle mother Qin and the serious but loving father Qin, a warm current flowed through her heart. After washing, she couldn't sleep, so she left the room wearing slippers and knocked on the door next door. Admired. There was a pause and a voice came from inside, come in. Yunsu entered the room wearing the nightgown prepared by Qin's mother. Qin Jiao looked at her thin white legs and his eyes darkened. He closed the computer and everyone on the other side of the video was dumbfounded. Qin Jiao frowned and said, why isn't your hair dry? Trouble. Yunsu softened her voice unconsciously, are you still busy? No, I'm not busy, Qin Jiao said without blinking, come here. Yunsu sat down next to him obediently. Qin Jiao took a towel, brushed it on her wet hair, and wiped it gently. Yunsu squinted her eyes to enjoy his service. A few people on the other side of the video have already started a crazy discussion. A woman's voice, I hear a woman's voice. Oh God, who is it? This point is still at the boss's house. The boss's voice is so gentle, I don't believe it, it must not be him. On the opposite side, only Qin Shi, who knew the inside story, did not show any surprise. Soon, everyone noticed him. Qin Shi, do you know something? Qin Shi raised his eyebrows and said, the person opposite is the boss's wife. I remember clearly. From what Qin Ju secretly shared with him about Miss Yun, Qin Shi understood deeply that he would rather offend the fifth master than offend Miss Yun. Those who offend Mr. Wu may still have a way to live, but those who offend Miss Yun will only have a life worse than death. As soon as Qin Shi's words came out, everyone was shocked. What? Boss lady? Qin Shi, are you kidding me? When did it happen? Why didn't anyone say anything? Oh my God, the boss is in love. Is there anything else in this world that is impossible? What is the boss doing now? I really want to know. Everyone thought that Qin Jiao had muted his voice and was discussing without restraint. Qin Jiao's expression slowly turned cold as he heard the people in the headphones talking more and more outrageously. After drying Yunsu's hair patiently, he said, go to bed early. I will take you back to school tomorrow morning. Okay, you go to bed early. Yunsu turned around, and before Qin Jiao could react, he quickly pecked him on the face, then quickly left, smiling playfully, good night. Qin Jiao was stunned for a moment, touched the place where he was kissed, and laughed softly. Everyone who heard the sound exploded again. Oh my God, is the boss lady still in school? The boss is an old cow eating young grass. The computer he co-authored suddenly opened, and Qin Jiao's face appeared on the screen again, and everyone fell silent for an instant. Qin Jiao sneered, say it, why don't you say it? The plan is well done, right, you're still in the mood to say this. His eyes swept over the people who dared not move, continue to report to me next. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 266. Chapter 266 Return to Lancheng. Susu is here, come and take a look at this experimental plan and tell us what you can see. As soon as Yunsu entered the laboratory, Meng Huai hurriedly called her over. After the two confirmed the relationship between master and apprentice, Meng Huai, who had stopped teaching, made an exception and returned to Huaking. Huaking had Meng Huai's exclusive laboratory. Yunsu Suziran also started to experiment. Originally, Meng Huai wanted to teach Yunsu step by step, but after examining her physics knowledge, Meng Huai quickly abandoned the learning method he had developed for her. It was not suitable for Yunsu. It would be better to do experimental projects directly. Yunsu took it and looked at it and said, although there is nothing wrong with it at first glance, this place at this step. She spoke for a while and then smiled and said, teacher, are you digging a hole for me on purpose? Isn't this a trap for you? Meng Huai laughed, but he was not shocked at all. This child's talent and intelligence are far beyond his imagination, and his endurance is always being tested. Then you will be solely responsible for this experiment. Can you complete it? Guaranteed to complete the task. Next to him was Meng Huai's assistant. No one knew how shocked he was. At first, he didn't understand why Mr. Meng would accept her as his disciple. Although she was amazingly talented in mathematics and said that mathematics was the foundation of all sciences, mathematics and physics, there is always a wall between them. Yunsu was so busy that he almost forgot about this matter. After finishing the work at hand, Yunsu asked the school for a leave of absence and wanted to go back for a few days. The school agreed without asking. Yunsu has begun a busy life again. After studying for a double degree, she is indeed much busier than before. In addition, although she is not here with Yunqing, she still needs to grasp the general direction. Various remote meetings are held non-stop every day. Open. Yoon-soo came home suddenly and didn't tell her family. She went directly to the third store her father was working on. Because she had enough budget, the location and decoration of the third store were the best. There were several schools nearby and residential areas. Have you eaten? You must have not eaten, right? Come on, let's try the new dishes in the store. On the market, StarCraft undoubtedly beats all other traditional games, and the major game companies can only sigh in despair. Only Kink is grateful for its foresight. Now the two are already working on joint development. Okay, I haven't eaten Dad's cooking for a long time, I've only dreamed about it, Yoon-soo said coquettishly. Yoon-soo pondered for a while and said, okay, brother Lee, I'll come back sometime. Xiao-soo, do you have any ideas for that piece of land? Li Ying said on the other end of the phone. The expansion of my shooting gallery here is about to be completed, and only your piece of land is vacant. Let's see when you have time. Come and see. When Yoon-soo arrived, Yoon Daejin was in the store teaching the new chef how to control the heat of braised food. It was now the third store and he couldn't manage it by himself, so he had to hire a new chef. As long as the most important braised food recipe was in your own hands, there is nothing to worry about. That's good. In addition to their signature braised food, Yoon Daejin has also researched and invented many new dishes in the store, and is quite likely to make it bigger and bigger. Just when Yoon-soo was too busy to touch the ground, Li Ying called her. Yoon Daejin was stunned for a moment, thinking he had heard wrongly. He turned around and saw Daxi. Susu, why are you back? Why didn't you say anything? Dad went to pick you up. It has been 2 months since the release of Interstellar, and a total of 3 rounds of quotas have been released. Although the quantity is larger each time, the supply is still in short supply, and the customer's voice is too loud, which is also a sweet trouble. Dad, Yoon-soo suddenly appeared and shouted. But now, Yoon-soo brought them surprises again and again, and he realized that Mr. Meng's choice was not wrong. I came back by myself, no need to pick him up, and it's not far. Yoon-soo thought for a while, and decided to buy a mobility scooter when he returned to the capital, otherwise it would still be a bit inconvenient. The new chef asked, Brother Yoon, is this your youngest daughter? He knew that the boss had 2 daughters, but he had only seen Ching-yu come to the store. Yes, my little daughter, Yoon Daejin said with a hearty smile. Although the 2 sisters don't look much alike, they are both equally beautiful. The chef didn't know that the 2 were not biological sisters. Yoon Daejin didn't explain anything and said proudly, follow me. The chef looked at the honest-looking Yoon Daejin, and it was hard to recognize him at a glance. Even though Brother Yoon was his boss, he had to say, this doesn't look alike. Yoon-soo pursed his lips and smiled. The chef asked again, is the little girl going to school in another place? Yes. Before Yoon-soo could speak, Yoon Daejin rushed to answer, studying in the capital. In the capital, then you must be studying well. Yoon Daejin said proudly, he's at Hwaking University. Hwa-ching, the chef's eyes changed, so awesome, this little girl is incredible. He also has a child in his family who is in the 3rd year of high school. What he usually worries about most is his studies, but he just can't learn. He doesn't have much education and can't help the child. The top scorer in science in our province this year, Yoon Daejin started the boasting mode, he still has the highest score in the country. The chef was shocked. I am a good boy, the provincial champion, and the highest score in the country. How smart is this to get the score? He looked at Yoon-soo with eyes filled with awe. That, little girl, the chef thought for a moment, can you give me your previous study notes and the like? I have a child who is in the 3rd year of high school at home and his grades are not very good. Don't worry, I won't get it in vain. Brother Yoon, I can pay less for the salary we agreed on before. Yoon-soo smiled and shook his head, Uncle, you're exaggerating. It's just a few books. It's not that exaggerated. I'll just ask my dad to bring it to you later. Poor parents in the world. Do everything for the sake of your children. Yoon Daejin also said, yes, Lao Xie, this is such a big deal, it should be whatever it is. Chef Xie was so moved, that's great, thank you, he really came to the right place to work here. Yoon Daejin went into the kitchen to cook for Yoon-soo. Yoon-soo wanted to help Yoon Daejin and refused to let her go, so she had to sit there and play with her mobile phone, and made an appointment with Li Ying to meet him. Here, let's have a taste. Yoon Daejin brought out several plates of steaming dishes. Dad, why did you make so much? I can't eat it, so you can eat it too. At this point, her father must not have eaten because he was busy. Okay, I'll eat with Susu. Lao Xie, please stop working and come and eat something together. No, I'll finish this, Lao Xie said with a smile. The father and daughter hadn't seen each other for a long time, so he stopped joining in the fun. Why did you come back suddenly this time? Isn't school on holiday? Yoon Daejin asked. No, I took a few days off and came back. There is something going on at the company. Yoon Daejin nodded and didn't ask any more questions. By the way, your birthday is coming soon. Since you are all back, let's celebrate it at home. Dad will make your 18th birthday a great one. Yoon-soo thought for a while, let's talk about it, Dad, I still need to check the time at the school. Okay, Dad is going to prepare it first. Yoon-soo had no choice but to follow her father. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 267. Chapter 267 Game Base. Brother, Miss Yoon is here. Li Ying was busy when his assistant came in to report. He immediately dropped what he was doing and said, please come in quickly. Yoon-soo walked in and greeted with a smile, Brother Li. Susu is here, but I haven't seen you for a long time. How is your college life? Fine. Li Ying also has a straightforward personality. After chatting for a few words, he got down to business. Let's go, I'll show you our shooting gallery first, and then go to your land. Okay, Yoon-soo agreed happily. The expanded shooting gallery is terrifyingly large, and it is not just a shooting sport. It has expanded many new projects and is connected to Junwei's horse farm in the west. The municipal government really has great expectations for this newspaper, and they have given the green light all the way to turning it into a cultural and sports base in Lanchinge. As for the small piece of space that Li Ying left for her, it was not that they didn't notice it, but they acquiesced after knowing that Yoon-soo wanted it. Li Ying was stunned. He could definitely imagine the popular scene when this game base was launched. More importantly, it would bring endless traffic and market to this area. It would be mutual benefit and win-win for everyone. Cooperation. Then we are looking forward to it. Li Ying smiled. When will the construction start? Li Ying thought for a while. You mean a model like an internet cafe? In the form of renting instead of buying. Yoon-soo was very satisfied. The small space left for her was right at the corner of the shooting gallery and the race course. It is conceivable that once the game base is completed, there will be huge traffic. Very good, Brother Lee, I like your plan very much. Yoon-soo looked around and said with a smile, make a game base. Her eyes were full of ambition. Absolutely, Yoon-soo nodded, it can be understood this way. Yunchinge. That Yunchinge from the holographic game. No wonder, she wants to be a game base. Yes, Yoon-soo nodded. After calming down, Li Ying asked, which mode do you want to do? Yoon-soo has thought about this problem for a long time. Holographic games seem to be popular now, but in the long run, due to the high price of holographic helmets, the audience will become smaller and smaller. I want to be a game base where everyone can play holographic games. This is the first stop. Games, he said hesitantly, isn't it difficult to do well in the current game market? People like him who are not very involved in games know that the game market this year has been experiencing earthquake-like fluctuations. The emergence of holographic games has blocked the path of many game companies. Under such circumstances, she actually chose to make games. Yunsu looked at him and said, "Brother Lee, didn't I tell you that our company is called Yunchinj? But, Susu, what do you plan to do with this land?" Li Ying was curious. Game base? Li Ying was stunned. He had thought of many answers, but he never thought it would be like this. Thinking of this, his heart became hot. It can be seen that this place was carefully selected for her by Li Ying. He was very sincere and Yunsu accepted the favor. "How is it?" Li Ying asked with a smile. He had put a lot of effort into building this, and he considered it to be one of the best shooting studios in the country. Li Ying suddenly took a breath of cold air. Yunchinj, Yunchinj," Li Ying responded subconsciously and then reacted in surprise. "What did you call it?" "Yunchinj. It's not the Yunchinj I thought, is it?" Li Ying looked at her and asked with a trembling voice. Soon Yunsu said in a brisk tone. After leaving the shooting gallery, she went straight to Yunchinj. "Sister Yun, are you back?" Jo Chan looked excited when she appeared. "Well, bring me the latest data report." Yunsu walked towards the technology department. "Okay." There was silence in the technical department. Yunsu opened the door and walked in. Heiyan was the first to notice her. "Zioba, are you back?" "Hello, fourth brother." As soon as Yunsu spoke, everyone in the technical department raised their heads, and everyone who was playing games, sleeping, or chatting fell silent for an instant. Yunsu glanced over and sneered, "I'm very free, everyone." No, I'm not free, there are a lot of things to do," Joseo said with a dry smile. 10 minutes later, there will be a meeting in the conference room. Everyone will report their recent work progress to me. Sales data and game feedback will all be ready for me. Yes. Yunsu gave the order and everyone moved. The meeting lasted for a full 3 hours. Yunsu was exhausted both physically and mentally, but the results were gratifying. The data of StarCraft in all aspects was excellent, and the market feedback was also very good. Continue to pay attention to all aspects of the situation. Remember, player feedback is very important, and the cooperation with Kink will continue to advance. Okay, let's break up the meeting, let's go to Yulon for dinner today, and I will pay for it. Oh, long live Sister Yun. Master is the best. Sulin asked her with a smile, "Are you going?" Yunsu rubbed his tired eyebrows and said, "I won't go, you can eat." Good. It was still early to leave Yunchinj. Yunsu thought about it and went to number 1 middle school. It was past 5 o'clock, a while before school was over. As soon as Yunsu approached the school gate, Uncle Wang, the security guard, saw her and greeted her happily. "Classmate Yunsu, why do you have time to come back?" "Uncle Wang, I just came back to take a look." Come on, I'll let you in." Yunsu shook her head, "No, I'll wait here, it's class time now," and she went in to disturb everyone's class. She sent a message to Yao Shuij and Lian Yu. After receiving unanimous replies, she sat on the small bench that Uncle Wang moved for her and waited. Not long after, the school bell rang, and the students came out one after another. Sister Yun, Lian Yu rushed out first with a school bag on his back, a look of joy on his face. "Why are you back?" Yunsu was helpless. She had answered this question several times today, "Can't I come back to see you?" "I don't believe it," Lian Yu snorted, then changed his face, "but I'm still very happy." Yunsu rolled his eyes, "Where are they? What's behind?" Just as he said that, Yao Shuij rushed out and threw himself directly into Yunsu's arms. "Susu, I miss you so much." "I miss you too." Yunsu touched the top of her head and said softly. The students in number 1 middle school also saw Yunsu and started talking about it. "Ah, it's Yun Shen, she's back." Is she the god of clouds? She's prettier in person than in the photos. Yunchin is still so beautiful, goddess. There are also new high school students who don't recognize Yunsu's face, and they are popularized by others. Let's go. Shenjinzu was the last one to come out, pulling the two of them away. If they didn't leave, they would be blocked at the school gate. Let's go have a meal, I'll treat you. Yunsu asked the three of them. Where do you want to eat? Go to Uncle's new store, Yao Shuich said immediately. I've always wanted to go. Shenjinzu, okay, I want to go too. Well. Yunsu nodded. Lian Yu drove, and they went to Yun Daejin's new store. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 268. Chapter 268. Two families collide. Uncle. Hello, Uncle Yun. A few people greeted each other, and Yun Daejin replied with a smile, here you go, sit down quickly, what do you want to eat? Uncle will cook it for you. Lian Yu, Uncle, everything you cook is delicious, we don't choose. Okay. Yun Daejin smiled and said, wait. The weather was already quite dull now. Yunsu poured hot tea for everyone and asked, where is Qin Chang? Why isn't he here? Lian Yu scratched his head, Brother Chang, doesn't he want to be admitted to the military academy? He took a leave of absence to go to the base for training. He seems to be preparing to be a special recruit. Yunsu nodded, no wonder. Come on, the food is here. Yun Daejin came out with the food, and several people stood up and prepared to help. You guys sit down, we'll be ready soon. Yun Daejin sat down on their shoulders. You can't leave me behind, Lian Yu said hurriedly. You'd better forget it. No, what do you mean forget it? Yao Shuich said hurriedly, there is also me. There were just a few of them, so they simply cooked a few dishes for fear of waste. They didn't choose between them and just chatted while eating. Susu, wait for me next year. There are about 3 or 4 tables scattered here and there. In order not to disturb others, Yulan specially arranged the most secluded hall, which is also the most difficult to book. Double major, Lian Yu couldn't help but say, what a pervert studying double majors in a place like Huaking and still being able to work with ease, isn't it a pervert? Shenjinzu was filled with admiration. Huaking was her dream university. She also believed that she would appear there next year. Under Yunsu's strong dissuasion, Yun Daejin finally suppressed the idea of having a big banquet for all parties. Perhaps Yulan was satisfied with the dishes and service at Yulan's last college entrance banquet. This time, he decided to host Yulan for his birthday party. Forget what you arranged before. Yun Daejin sat aside and did not disturb the chat of several children. Looking at the smile on Yunsu's face, he felt very happy. Sure enough, she would relax when she was with her friends. Okay, I'll do it right away. Qinju walked out quickly. It's not cancelling, it's just changing places, going to Lanchinj, everything else is the same as before. Thinking of his future father-in-law, Qinju rubbed his eyebrows with a headache. In the front hall, just as Yunsu's family entered, someone else came in behind them. The only relatives in their family are the uncle's family. In addition, they invited a few familiar people, as well as people from the Lian family and the Jun family. Of course, Yunchin's group of people are indispensable. Susu, what about you? How is walking? Yao Shuij asked. Very good, I have a double major in mathematics and physics. Thank you, uncle. Qinju asked doubtfully, has it been cancelled? If this thing is not done well, the 5th master can skin him. There are still 3 days before Yunsu's birthday, and Yun Daejin is already busy. After all, it is the 18th-year-old adult ceremony and cannot be careless. When Qinjiao learned that Yunsu was going to celebrate his birthday at home, he was silent for a long time and still didn't say anything. Yuntu looked at the familiar figure at the corner and frowned. Who was that? After thinking for a while, he threw away the thought in his mind. There was no way she could be here. He stood at the door to greet the guests. Today was Xiao Yan's adult banquet, so he had to make it a splendor, so that those who laughed at him for throwing away the watermelon and picking up the sesame seeds would know that he also had an excellent daughter. Yuntu looked at Su Ziyuling, who was beside him, and said in a cold voice, I know what you are thinking, but remember, she has nothing to do with our Yun family. How come it doesn't matter? That's my daughter. When Su Ziyuling heard this, she almost shed tears. I regret it. Such an excellent daughter was lost abruptly by them. So what if we regret it? That's our choice. Yuntu tugged on his tie impatiently. She is just an immature white-eyed wolf who doesn't recognize us at all. It's useless for you to regret it. Su Ziyuling lowered her eyes and said nothing. Remember, we only have one daughter, Xiao Yan. Yuntu's eyes were firm. Today is Xiao Yan's 18th birthday, so many guests are coming, so don't show off your face. 18 years old. Susu also turns 18 today. Su Ziyuling is a little dazed. Yuntu ignored her and greeted the guests with a smile. Mr. Wang, welcome. Director Li, long time no see, please take a seat. Mr. Zhang, come on, please come over here. Invited guests appeared one after another at the door. Outside, a car stopped, and two men with outstanding faces got out of the car. One was in his prime, with a face like a crown jewel, and the other had the charm of a mature man even though he was stained with the traces of time. Yuntu saw the two of them, his eyes widened in disbelief, and he hurriedly greeted them, Mr. Jun, you two are here too. Thank you for the compliment. It's a great honor. He had sent invitations to all the wealthy families in Lanchinj who could be named, and the average price was no exception, but he never expected them to attend. But now, not only is Huntang Shi here, but even Shenlong has not seen the end. Jun Wei has arrived. Looking at Jun Wei, who looked like a orchid tree, his face was rosy and there was no trace of illness. Could it be that he was really cured as the rumors said? Thinking of this, his heart moved. Young Master Jun and Xiao Yan. He excitedly wanted to shake hands with both men. Jun Tamshi avoided his hand, frowned and asked, Who are you? Yuntu's smiling face froze. Why, isn't Mr. Jun here just for Xiao Yan's birthday? Jun Tamshi looked at Yuntu's expression and sneered. Of course he knew who he was. Wasn't he Susu's conscience-less father? If Susu doesn't recognize him and breaks off relations with him, what kind of face will he give him? But why is Cloud Atlas here? Isn't today Susu's birthday party? He suddenly thought of the cheap daughter of the Yun family, who seemed to have the same birthday as Susu. Thinking of this, Jun Tamshi frowned in disgust. What a disappointment. He turned his head and looked at Jun Wei. Wei, quickly ask which hall your aunt is in. Jun Wei's mouth twitched, and he understood what his father was thinking. Didn't he just want to slap this family in the face? Of course he has to cooperate. Dad, senior aunt's birthday party is at Yuzuyuan. Senior aunt? It seemed like he had made a mistake about the elder's birthday party. No wonder he wanted to book Yuzu Garden before, but Ian's people said they had already booked it. Thinking of what he had just thought for a moment, Yuntu's face burned. I'm sorry, Mr. Jun, to bother you. I thought I was coming to my little daughter's birthday party. Please. Huntang Shi and the two of them didn't even give him a spare look, they just walked around him and prepared to enter. A clear female voice sounded, Uncle Jun, Wei, are you here? Yuntu froze and turned his head in disbelief. It was really her. He was right. Su Ziyuling raised her head suddenly and screamed, Susu, why are you here? This question was quickly answered. Jun Tamshi smiled kindly and said, Susu, it's your birthday, we must arrive early. Her birthday? Didn't it say it was Senior Aunt Junwei's birthday? Yuntu's mind was in a state of confusion. Yuntu turned to look at Junwei. Wei, give this gift to your senior sister. Junwei handed over the gift with both hands. Happy birthday, senior sister, the other one was entrusted to you by the teacher. What? Yunsu is Junwei's aunt? How can this be? Yuntu couldn't believe it no matter what. Susu, another voice came. Uncle Lian, you are here. It was Lianzilla and his family who arrived. Lianzilla looked at Yuntu and Suzayuling, who looked shocked, and Yunsu, who looked calm. With a clear mind, he instantly understood what the situation was. Here, please, Uncle Lian, Uncle Jun. Yunsu didn't even look at Yuntu and Suzayuling, but raised his hand in a gesture of invitation. Seeing Yunsu about to leave, Suzayuling became anxious and reached out to hold her. Susu. Yunsu frowned deeply. She stopped, looked at Suzayuling's hand, and said, Ms. Su, we are not that familiar, are we? Please let go. Ms. Su? Did she have to call her that? Suzayuling's face lost all color. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 269. Chapter 269, Disqualification. Suzayuling's tears fell instantly. Susu, don't be like this. What's it like? Ms. Su. Yunsu interrupted her. Ms. Su, let me say it again, there is no longer any relationship between us. Suzayuling's heart was pounding as she looked at her like she was a stranger. Besides, I really think it's funny how you behave like this now. Yunsu smiled. Do you really regret treating me like that before? Or do you regret looking at me now? Suzayuling's body was shaken, as if the dark thoughts she had been unwilling to face were revealed, and her face turned pale. Yuntu's face turned livid. What can you say to her? What's there to say? He glared at Yunsu fiercely. Yunsu looked back at him calmly, as if she wanted to see the bottom of his heart. Yuntu felt an inexplicable chill down his back. Suzayuling wanted to say something else when a voice came. Mom and Dad. Yunyan arrived, and Yunjing stood beside her. Yunjing frowned. Stop talking, Xiao Yan. Why? Why is she everywhere? Why does she keep showing up? Yunjing let out a long sigh. Yunyan looked at the backs of the group of people and realized. Didn't Yunsu come to her birthday party? Okay. Don't be embarrassed anymore. Yuntu looked ugly and shouted, follow me to meet some people. Yuntu looked at her and said coldly, shut up. What kind of place is this? Look at yourself. Yunsu looked at her mockingly, then walked towards Yuzu garden without answering. Brother, why are you looking at her too? Yunyan's eyes turned red. Suzayuling's lips moved but she still didn't speak. Yunyan suddenly realized that it was her birthday party now, and everyone here was here for her birthday. Wasn't her appearance noticed by everyone? This is my birthday party, why doesn't it count if I told you? Suzayuling looked at her with complicated eyes. The daughter she thought was well behaved had changed, or maybe she had never really understood her. Mom, Yunyan interrupted her, do you want to speak for her? Yunyan pursed her lips and followed him, with boundless hatred flashing in her lowered eyes. The Lian family and the Jun family's father and son also immediately followed. She tried hard to regain her proper composure and demeanor, looked at Yunsu and said coldly, please leave. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Yunyan couldn't help but yelled. How would everyone view what she just said? She was like a clown. Yunsu. Why are you here? Who asked you to come? You are not welcome here. She was wearing a big name dress of the season, and the white lace skirt looked cute on her. but when she saw Yunsu for the first time, her beautiful face began to distort, and her temperament disappeared. Live. No, Xiao Yan. Su Ziyuling wanted to explain that Yunsu also celebrated her birthday here. Su Ziyuling said, Xiao Yan, she also celebrates her birthday here. Yunsu sneered, do you have the final say whether I come or not? Why did it take so long to come in? Yun Daijin asked strangely. I met a few lunatics, Yunsu wrote lightly. Psychopath, where does neurosis come from? It's okay, sit down quickly. Yunsu changed the subject, you and Uncle Lian can sit at the same table. Okay. Yunsu had forgotten the little episode just now in the blink of an eye. The birthday party was enjoyed by the guests and the host. Although there were only a few people, the value of the gifts received was staggering, and each one was more generous than the last. Over there, the Yun family, who were influenced by Yunsu, have been grieving in their hearts, but they cannot show it on their faces, maintaining their last dignity and chatting and laughing with the guests. Everyone who was chatting cordially on the face was also laughing at this family in their hearts. It was really stupid that such an outstanding daughter as Yunsu could go to the point of severing ties. Thinking of this, many companies that cooperate with Yunchi Group seriously think about it. Is there really no problem in cooperating with a company controlled by such a person? The banquet was over and the guests were leaving one after another. Yuntu's assistant went to Yu Ian's front desk to settle the bill. After a while, the assistant came back, leaned close to Yuntu and whispered, Mr. Yun, Yulan has returned our membership card. What do you mean by returning? Yuntu frowned. Not everyone can become a member of Yulan. It not only requires financial resources, but also the status of the card holder. Everyone who has their membership card is either rich or noble. That's it? The assistant didn't dare to say it. They just cancelled our membership cards and said they won't accept us anymore. To be precise, the Yun family will no longer be received. What? Yuntu was furious, how dare they? No matter how high the threshold is, everyone is open to do business. How could Yulan refuse to receive them for no reason? Yuntu couldn't figure it out no matter what. I don't know either, the assistant said. Yuntu's face turned blue and white, and he carefully recalled what happened today. Suddenly he looked in the direction of Yuzuyuan. Could it be because of that girl's film? Impossible. Yuntu denied his idea again. Yu Ian's background was mysterious and unpredictable. There had been many people who couldn't understand their membership evaluation standards and wanted to cause trouble for Yulan, but in the end they all ended up unlucky inexplicably. Moreover, Yulan drove here from the capital, how could he have anything to do with Yunsu? He thought for a while and went to Yu Ian's front desk in person, ready to ask. Excuse me, what do you mean by cancelling my membership card? Yuntu is still trying his best to maintain his grace. The waiter at Yulan at the front desk smiled sweetly and replied politely, you no longer meet our Yulan membership standards, so your membership account has been cancelled. Please make another choice and patronize another hotel. What does not meet your membership standards? You must give me an explanation. Yuntu could no longer hold back his anger. The guests frowned at him. He felt that he had been embarrassed today. It's the order from above, we just follow it. Above. Yuntu frowned. Did he really offend Yu Ian's boss? But how? While he was thinking, the waiter suddenly said behind him with a bright smile, Miss Yun, have you finished your meal? Are you satisfied with our service and dishes today? The waiter asked nervously. Not bad. Yunsu handed out the card, without even looking at Yuntu, check out. The waiter smiled sincerely and said, no need, Miss Yun. Sir, I have told you that you do not need to pay for any consumption at Yulan. Yunsu paused and remembered that this must be Qin Jiao's order. After thinking about it, she took back the card. She didn't need to be polite to him. Okay, thanks. She entered Yu's garden again, ignoring Yuntu the whole time. Yuntu's face was extremely ugly after listening to the whole story. If someone could get free of charge on all purchases at Yulan, he must have thought that that gentleman must be Yu Ian's boss. He was actually deprived of his membership because of her. Yuntu was immediately furious, but he didn't dare to act wild in Yulan, so he could only crush his teeth to activate his blood and endure it. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 270. Chapter 270. A Field of Flowers. Why do you come here quietly every time? Yunsu looked helplessly at the man in front of her. Qin Jiao said with a smile on his face, if you want to celebrate your birthday with your family, I will definitely depend on you, but I also want to spend it with you. Naturally, I can only do it with them in front and me in the back. If the mountain is not mine, I will be the mountain. Yunsu's heart trembled slightly as she said one sentence. She stretched out her slender hand and asked, where is my gift? Qin Jiao laughed, don't worry, I'll take you somewhere first. Yunsu widened his eyes curiously. The car sped along, and gradually there were fewer and fewer buildings. They had arrived at the outskirts of Lanchange. Qin Jiao parked the car in an open space. What are you doing here? Yunsu wondered. I'll know it soon. Come this way. Qin Jiao stretched out his hand to her. Yunsu pursed her lips and put her hand into his palm. The two hands were clasped together. Qin Jiao moved his hands and intertwined their fingers. This is. Qin Jiao didn't speak, still waiting for his answer. Qin Jiao was overjoyed and stood up quickly, really? Yunsu finally found his voice after a while, when did you do this? Yunsu was speechless and her eyes were red. Qin Jiao's voice was gentle, one bouquet of flowers is not enough, I want to give you a whole field of sunflowers today. What appeared in front of Yunsu was an endless field of sunflowers. The layers of golden flowers were crowded together and swaying in the wind. They were so golden and dazzling that they almost fascinated her. Yunsu looked at the affection in his eyes that was so strong that it could almost drown her. A tear rolled down her eyes, but she smiled on her face. How come someone's confession is the same as a proposal? Yunsu's lips curved up and she smiled slightly. He opened the box. Inside the box was a dazzling necklace, with light shining everywhere, and a huge red gemstone cut into a heart shape. Don't regret it, Qin Jiao said domineeringly with a look on his face, I will never give you a chance to regret it in this life. Qin Jiao took her for a while and said, look up. Yunsu subconsciously raised his head and looked at the large field in front of him, his eyes widening. Just these few days, Qin Jiao wrote lightly. He thought he was going back to the capital. It took a lot of effort to transport these flowers. Qin Jiao knelt on one knee, not minding the soil under his feet. His upper body was straight and he took out a small box from his pocket. Yunsu looked into his eyes and said word by word, I do. I'll regret it if I say it again. Qin Jiao took a deep breath and said, Happy birthday, Susu, are you willing to be my girlfriend? No matter what happens, we will never separate. Keep going and let me stay with you forever. Yunsu was stunned. The man kneeling in front of him was visibly nervous. It was clear that there was only a formal confirmation between the two of them, but he was still afraid of the slight possibility of rejection. The person next to him suddenly became shorter. Yunsu turned her head and was shocked, what are you doing? He added, there is also a piece of land in the capital. Ha 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 ha. Yunsu laughed loudly. Qin Jiao also had a smile in his eyes. He took out the necklace from the box and put it on her. The red gemstone made her skin gleaming like jade. Very beautiful. Qin Jiao looked at her almost obsessively. The two people's eyes met, so sticky that they were almost inseparable. Qin Jiao hugged her and slowly lowered his head, and their warm lips touched. Their bodies trembled slightly, as if they were electrocuted, or as if they were brushing against the strings of a piano. Numbness after use. The endless sunflowers sway gently, as if blessing them. The two of them sat in the sunflower field for a long time. It felt good to have no distractions from the world and no worries. After the sky darkened, the two drove away. Qin Jiao made a reservation for dinner at a Western restaurant at the highest point in Lanchinge. After ordering the meal, Yunsu felt a little regretful. I should drink some wine on a day like this. Qin Jiao was helpless. Don't you know what it looks like when you're drunk? I know. Yunsu put his chin on his hands, but aren't you here? Qin Jiao was stunned for a moment and realized what she meant. She felt at ease with him by her side, so it didn't matter even if she was drunk. Qin Jiao thought about it for a while but shook his head. No, my uncle will tell you later when we get back. Same thinking of her father's nagging. Yunsu also had a headache, so she had no choice but to give up. Eat quickly. Qin Jiao cut the steak and exchanged plates with her. The beef was tender and tasted wonderful. Yunsu squinted her eyes with satisfaction. In the restaurant, the violin played melodiously. The two of them didn't talk much, and the atmosphere was quiet and beautiful. They were sitting by the window. They had a panoramic view of the entire city. Qin Jiao looked at the Yulan River flowing underneath and suddenly remembered something. There is one thing left to do. What? Yunsu raised his head in confusion. Huh, what else do you wish for? After eating, Qin Jiao led her to the Yulan River. He looked at the river lanterns that seemed to be drifting in the water forever, and said with a smile, I put the river lanterns last time, and now my wish has come true. I will definitely put them up. Still wishing. Last time, the two of them wrote two wishes, one for success in the college entrance examination, and one for people around them. Now, Yunsu has become the top scorer in the college entrance examination and has gone to college. The two of them are officially together, and both wishes have come true. Yunsu suddenly smiled. You are right, you have to fulfill your wish. When the two of them were buying river lanterns, they met the aunt who sold the river lanterns last time. Auntie still had an impression of this pair of outstanding-looking men and women. She smiled and said, it seems that you two have become a couple. Qin Jiao smiled and said, let's buy 2 more river lanterns. Auntie nodded, okay. She suddenly thought of another thing. How did the little girl do in the college entrance examination? It's good to lend you some kind words. Auntie said in surprise, hey, which university are you in now? Hwaking. Auntie's eyes widened. Hwaking University, my dear, isn't that the best university? It's amazing. The aunt was happy for her. I won't charge you for these 2 river lanterns today. Students from Hwaking University bought my river lanterns, and I also benefited from them, so I gave them to you for free. How can that be done? It's not easy for you to sell this. Yunsu rejected her kindness. Hi, the aunt waved her hand, I sell this thing just for fun and to pass the time. I have 2 buildings in the west of the city. Yunsu, she interrupted me. I can't tell. That auntie is quite secretive. Okay, I'll take your 2 river lanterns, thank you, Auntie. Yunsu accepted the river lanterns. Go, the aunt said with a smile. Watching the two of them walking away, she whispered, it's quite a match. Qin Jiao and Yunsu came to the place where the river lanterns were placed last time and put down the 2 river lanterns. This time there was no writing on them. Qin Jiao looked at the distant river lanterns with distant eyes. If there really is a God, please bless him and the girl next to him, never to be separated. End of this chapter.